Have you ever moved somewhere that felt too perfect to be real? Neat lawns, smiling neighbors, matching fences, like a painting that hides the cracks underneath. That's how it felt for Sarah Coleman when she moved into Willow Creek Estates, a quiet suburban neighborhood in Texas. After years of saving, she'd finally bought her dream home, a place to start over, surrounded by peace. Or so she thought. The first letter arrived 2 weeks after she moved in. A yellow envelope tucked under her door, stamped with the bold logo of the HOA. Violation: fence color non-compliance. Fine $250. Sarah blinked at it for a few seconds, confused. Her fence was the same color as every other house on her street, including the HOA president's. She sent a polite email asking for clarification. No response. Then came another envelope. Late payment, $50 additional fine. At her first HOA meeting, she brought photos of her fence as proof. But before she could finish speaking, the president, Mr. Adams, interrupted. "We'll review it later, Miss Coleman. Next item." The board moved on as if she wasn't even there. She left that meeting with her heart pounding, embarrassed but still hopeful it was just a mistake. But it wasn't. Within weeks, more notices arrived. Improper garbage placement, lawn uneven, even garage door left open too long. The fines stacked higher, and whispers started spreading through the neighborhood. Sarah noticed that every person who had recently moved in, especially single homeowners, seemed to be getting similar treatment. Meanwhile, the same small circle of people on the HOA board, Adams and his friends, seemed untouchable. One evening, while walking her dog, Sarah overheard 2 neighbors talking near the corner house. "Adams is at it again," one of them muttered. "Poor woman doesn't even know what's coming." Sarah stopped for a second, pretending to fix her dog's leash, but her heart dropped. What did they mean by again? A few days later, an older woman knocked on her door. Her name was Linda Brooks, and she introduced herself as a former HOA treasurer. "You're Sarah, right? I used to handle the books here before I resigned." Her tone was calm, but her eyes looked tired. Linda told her that Adams had been abusing his power for years, fabricating violations, scaring homeowners into selling, and then buying their properties cheap through a company registered under his brother's name. "He hides it all through paperwork," Linda said, "but if you look closely, you'll find it." That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She sat on her couch with the yellow envelopes spread across the coffee table, her mind racing. She decided she wasn't going to be the next victim. The next morning, Sarah requested financial records from the HOA office, something every homeowner has the legal right to do. Adams refused. He said the documents were confidential. So Sarah started collecting her own evidence. She recorded every meeting. She photographed every notice. She kept copies of every email, and slowly she built her own file. One night, unable to shake her suspicions, she drove past the HOA office after hours. Inside, through the blinds, she saw Adams standing over a shredder. She quietly pulled out her phone and began recording from her car. The flicker of the lights, the whir of the shredder, the sight of documents disappearing, she caught it all. Her hands were shaking, but her resolve was solid. The next morning, a new envelope arrived, but this one was different. It wasn't a fine, it was a threat. Final warning: continued violation will result in foreclosure proceedings. Sarah's blood ran cold. She hadn't broken a single rule. She called the HOA office. They hung up. Her emails bounced back. The next day, someone spray painted "rule breaker" across her fence. That night, Linda called. "They're trying to break you," she said softly, but you're stronger than they think. Sarah decided to dig deeper, online this time. She checked the HOA's official website and domain registration. What she found made her heart skip. The website was linked to Adams Realty LLC, the same name that appeared on county records as the buyer of several foreclosed homes in Willow Creek. It was all connected. Linda gave her one final clue, a set of old meeting minutes she'd saved before she resigned. In them, there was an invoice. Maintenance, Lot 42, $7,500. But Willow Creek only had 41 lots. Lot 42 didn't exist. Sarah had found the smoking gun. She spent the next few nights putting everything together: the notices, the photos, the video of Adam's shredding papers, and the fake invoices. Then she did something bold. She sent the entire file anonymously to a local investigative journalist. 3 days later, the story broke. Local HOA president under investigation for fraud and harassment. Her phone started buzzing nonstop. Neighbors whispered. Cars slowed down as they passed her house. And that evening, just as the sun was setting, she saw flashing lights reflecting off every mailbox in the street. 2 police cruisers pulled up to the community center. Sarah stood quietly across the road, watching as the officer stepped out. The emergency HOA meeting was in full swing. Through the window, she could see Adams gesturing wildly, red-faced and shouting. Then one of the officers walked in. "Mr. Adams, we need you to come with us." The room froze. Everyone stared as he was handcuffed and let out the door. Sarah didn't cheer. She didn't even move. She just closed her eyes and took a deep breath, the first peaceful one in months. A few weeks later, the neighborhood began to change. The HOA board resigned. New members were elected. The rules were rewritten, fair and transparent. Neighbors who once avoided Sarah now stopped by to apologize. Even Linda looked lighter, finally free from the weight of secrets. They offered Sarah a position on the new board. She smiled and shook her head. "I just want peace," she said. And that evening, as the sun dipped behind the rooftops, she sat on her porch with a cup of tea, looking at the same fence that started it all. Still the same color, still standing strong. Sometimes justice doesn't roar in. Sometimes it arrives quietly, with the sound of sirens fading down a perfect suburban street. And in Willow Creek Estates, it arrived for Sarah Coleman. Because sometimes the calmest voices echo the loudest truth.